Welcome to the Keychain Podcast, where every key tells a story.
I'm Matt.
I'm Mish.
And today we're bringing you the people, the partners, and the purpose behind the Matt Harnick real estate team. Market update! Today's one of those like zingers where I'm just like finding new things to do to make Mish laugh.
Yeah, this has been surprise after surprise of today, which is not unlike what's going on in the market.
Yeah, now time for game face.
Yeah. Oh, we keep getting this question. We get this question every year around this time of what's going on. And this year, I think it's a little tricky because there are outside things that are affecting decisions, not including what's actually happening in the real estate world.
Correct.
So keep that in mind when we're talking, is that this update is a little different just because of everything that's externally happening in the world is affecting everything internally in real estate.
It's all related.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, I would say 100%. I mean, it's all related. People, external pressures and things going on, again, politically, financially, obviously it all affects real estate. It affects a lot of different sectors.
Yep.
And the way we felt it, I mean, I can tell you just sort of like innately how I feel about it. Mish can do the same, but also as the self-termed data nerd.
Yes.
Can really give you some chapter and verse on kind of how things look. But yeah, I mean, what we're feeling right now is that if for the last few years, excluding maybe the last, 4, 5, 6 months or so, real estate was really going like this from like spring of 21 on. It was just going up and up and up and up. And, we had some buyers that were sort of, looking during that time. Well, a lot of buyers looking during that time.
Yeah.
We had sellers selling during that time. It was getting noticeably easier and less challenging for sellers to sell their homes, making less improvements. The offers that were coming over were so competitive and there was a lot of them. This is in the beginning, like, into 21, 22. There was, multiple offers coming over. A lot of our buyers were waiving inspections. A lot of our sellers were accepting offers without inspections, for example. Appraisal gap coverage, offers well over asking. And that just really kept going up until, maybe like last spring, early summer of 25. And then I think we finally sort of hit that place that people were like, when's it going to finally happen?
Yep.
I would say... And obviously we're just a small microcosm of the real estate market, even locally, certainly. But I sort of felt it like maybe July, August, over the latter part of the summer.
Yeah, that's when we started to kind of feel the air was changing.
Yeah, definitely.
We were like, something's happening. And like we had talked about it in the spring, and then all of a sudden, really like the end of the summer, we started feeling it. And then this early fall, we were like, okay, it's here. It's here. And I think a lot of buyers got tired of the whiplash. And I don't use that word gently because our buyers went through it.
Sure. And we went through it with them.
And we sat there on the sidelines and in the negotiations, and we were just like, oh my gosh, we're getting hit left and right. They're getting hit left and right. It feels like they've got to give their firstborn and, the diamond off their hand. Like it was just every time we turned around, it was like something better was coming in front of them. And we were like, when are these guys going to catch a break? And then all of a sudden we were like, we're seeing inspections.
Yep. We're seeing inspections. We're seeing offers that, in some cases are still over asking, but not like by leaps and bounds the way it was. And what was interesting in a few different cases with us, we had buyers that, let's say, had started looking in the, the early part of 2025, earlier part, and we're still sort of, still looking in the market, started to get those houses that maybe they'd missed earlier. But where I noticed it in particular, we had a few sellers who we had spoken with, let's say in the early part of 2025, who were going to go on the market, and life happens and sometimes, schedules change and things got delayed. Well, that delay in some cases, really played a part in where they were ultimately able to sell. And we started just noticing, like from the time we talked with certain sellers, where, the market dictated a certain price because, of course, we don't set the price. We look at the data and we come up with a number based on what the market tells us. Ultimately, and we say this to all of our seller clients, it is their decision. We just provide the advice and the data to make a sound decision if possible, but it's their decision. And if we agreed on a certain number, in a couple of cases I can think of in the early summer, by the fall when the house is ready to go on the market, things had changed enough where that number was no longer valid. Yeah. I mean, so it really seemed, I want to say again, like maybe July into maybe mid to later August.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we felt that shift.
It was definitely, it was like, you felt it, you knew it was coming, you started to prepare, and then all of a sudden it like hit us like a brick wall.
Yeah.
And we're used to, I mean, statistically, we're getting into a slower time because of holiday season and people don't want to, it's cold, like people don't want to move. We're used to that. But for whatever reason, it was like, 1 week we were feeling good. We came in the next week and it was like, boom. And
somebody put the brakes on.
I looked at Matt and I was like, what just happened over like 3 days?
Yeah.
And that's when we were like,
here it is.
There's the external factors that everyone was talking about that no one was really, like everyone was whispering, no one was talking about. And then we were like, oh, here's also the market saying we need some level here. We can't keep going spike and spike. It's too much.
And it's funny because playing into that, we've also had the conversations for quite a while now about rates and when are rates going to come down. We've always had the philosophy, and I think it's borne out in the data, and not just locally, pardon me, not just with us, but also just, generally speaking. Once those rates come down, you have buyers that have been looking in the market and may have gotten tired, and maybe you're sitting on the sidelines waiting for the rates to come down. And then once the rates come down, all of a sudden, all those buyers that have been just sitting on the sidelines jump into the market. So the demand all of a sudden just shoots through the roof, but the supply hasn't caught up with it yet. So what does that do? It artificially raises prices. Now the rates have been coming down ever so slightly. I mean, they're a little lower than they were before. Not enough really to trigger that reaction that we just talked about, but we are starting to see now that, some of our buyers that might have, been sitting out there for a while, just kind of paying attention to the market, but not really making a move, are now starting to get a little more active. So they're starting to think about it. And again, our sellers, where, they were probably a year ago, if they were contemplating going on the market before they even talked to us in some cases, thinking, hey, if I'm going to be able to get a windfall for my house. And in some cases they still are, but it's just not the same kind of windfall that maybe they would have gotten last year, for example. So I mean, and again, this is what we're seeing. We are just a speck in the market, but that's what we've been experiencing. Yeah. And we're curious, for those of you who've been out there looking to buy and sell a home, we'd love your comments on this podcast, the link, just to kind of tell us what you've been seeing. Yeah. But we talk with people around the country all the time, not just obviously in our local market, but around, the United States. What have you been experiencing? And we seem to sort of take our cues from, in some cases, the West Coast, Midwest, Florida, for example. Those markets have definitely slowed down from our understanding. So I mean, it's coming. So for our seller clients, look, there's still hope. You're still going to do really well on your sale. For our buyer clients, it's definitely starting to even out a little bit. So we're hopeful that. We're kind of hoping that rates don't precipitously drop. I mean, I don't think anyone believes that's going to happen. I don't think we do. Yeah. But, keep in mind that once rates start to come down a little bit, you are going to start to have a little more competition, but you can always refinance. Get the house now before you're looking at another $50,000, another $100,000 more paid just to get into the same house you can get into right now. Yeah. And look, it has to be the right house, has to be the right time. But if you're thinking about that, we'd love to talk with you and see if we can help you, make that happen.
Absolutely. And if there's any questions that you have that are like a little more specific, a little more local, you have questions about your house, we'd love to chat with you about those kind of like particulars that might not be discussed in these general market updates. But yeah, I mean, that's I like doing that because I'm a data nerd. So like I like looking at the address and looking what's going on in that like little pocket of the world. So if you need those, if you're a data nerd like me and need that information, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, we'd love to help you.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you've got any other questions about market that maybe we didn't cover, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is just a general update.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'd love to talk to you about your specific situation and your house or the house that you're thinking of buying.
Absolutely.
Either way, or investing in.
Yes.
Or renovating or flipping or whatever. We're here to help.
Yes, we are.
And thanks for watching the latest episode of The Key Chain. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.